So I work in this cafe. Over summer it's very hectic, and I'm the only stable staff, so often I'm in there completely by myself. If it's the owner's day off, or if they need to run an errand. I can't remember why I was alone that day, but she told me if I got overwhelmed to just stop serving food and only do coffee. I was poor and wanted to tips, so I thought I'd do food for as long as possible. I've been running around all day and this family comes in. No issues as they order and sit down. A minute later I'm making chips, fries, and battered cod for the family and other orders, and coffees while I go running in and out of the kitchen, which is behind the till. I see their kid walking into the kitchen while I'm running some food out. I stop her with my knees, hands full, and say, "Hey sweetheart, you can come play out here, will you follow me please?" She nods and I walk though and drop the food at the table. Look back to see no child behind me. Small panic thinking of how much hot oil is in the kitchen. I rush back and grab the child who's lay on the kitchen floor right where I would have stomped her head if I hadn't seen. I lift her up, very aware of all the food which is going to start burning in 1 second, and rush her back to her mum. I say, "Can you keep a hold of her? It's dangerous for her to be in the kitchen." She starts saying something, but I'm already going back to the kitchen. Had a small break in customers, so I'm cleaning up while the family's food is finishing up. Small child comes up to me and grabs my skirt. I ask her where she's from and if she's having fun while I clean, since I'm not in the kitchen. I then tell her sternly she cannot follow me into the kitchen while I go get the food. She does. I plate the food up, keeping a close eye on her, and take it over to the family. She doesn't follow, but all the hobs and fryers are off now, and I can see her. As I drop the food off, the mum tells me go get her child's name IDK, let's say Luz. A little shocked by this, but after those tips I go get her child. At this point all customers have their food. I'm doing 1 or 2 coffees, but mainly just cleaning up the kitchen and old plates. 10 minutes later, small child in the kitchen again. "Oh no," I say sternly, "I've told you you cannot be in here. Your mummy will be very upset if she has to tell you herself." Child begins crying, but that half-hearted cry, if you get me. I pick her up, take her to the table. Her mum, "What on earth? Why is Luz crying? What did you do? She was perfectly happy, sat with you." I explained that I'm too busy to keep an eye on your child, and if my boss saw a child in the kitchen I would 100% lose my job, and it is not safe. She could be burnt, or I could stand on her. I'm not trained to check for children in my path. I'm a little shocked, because I don't really know how to explain that this isn't okay. It just seems like common sense to me. Her mum, "I waited far too long to get this food. If you want your tip you'll play with her. She likes you. There is no one ordering anything right now anyway." Still shocked, and having dealt with a lot of these kind of customers, I kiss my tip goodbye. I wouldn't have gotten one anyway, and simply said, "If she comes into the kitchen again, and I'm going to ask you to leave, I'm sorry, but her safety is my #1 priority." I went to the kitchen all wound up and very ready to refuse to serve them if they ordered anything else, but they didn't leave a tip. But child did not come into the kitchen again, thankfully. I posted about this before, but there are a lot of instances where she's been a jackass, so there are endless stories to tell. This time, it affects my sister and I directly. We live in a little apartment that can hold 3 families. M lives in the 3rd floor, while I'm in the 1st. The middle is my uncle's. Anyway, M, uncle and I share the same taxi driver, but leave at different times. Their kids leave 30 minutes earlier, so there's a lot of time between. You know, it's Sem's responsibility to get her kid ready on time. The taxi driver can't wait all day for her, since he has other shifts as well. It was winter, yeah, but that didn't give her the excuse to send her child 40 goddamn minutes late. Uncle was getting pissed, since his child was going to suffer along with the other kid, and their school didn't take well to late students. They took late fines and fierce scoldings. M sent her kid 40 minutes late, and guess what? We were late too. 2 other girls rode along with us, but they were forced to take a day off because their teacher would make latecomers stand outside as punishment. It was too cold to go through that. Our teacher was different, though, more laid back, so we wouldn't face that punishment. But we were still fined. We get fined when we are late or absent without excuse. It's to control attendance, which is why it's implemented in the first place. So because of them, we got fined. I got my first late because of her. The story doesn't even end there, though I wish it would. When we got home, I heard him complaining to my grandparents about how the taxi driver should have been more patient and understanding. That it was cold, and she needed to wrap her kids up. She sent them down 40 fucking minutes late. Like holy hell, what was she doing? The 4 of us, the other 2 girls, got fined because of her, and she was bitching and moaning about how the taxi driver was unfair. Worst thing is that my grandparents were agreeing with her. I mean, why wouldn't they? She's the favorite one. Since she married their favorite son, she and her kids automatically got the special attention and love. Our taxi driver was nowhere near wrong. He only told them that she made him lose 2 people and that it was wrong for her to send her kid that late. Not in her eyes, though. In her eyes, she was right. Mom and I didn't get involved. We don't fuck with the special people. Mom once did, but that's another story I'll tell later. Since then, she tells us to stay away and ignore her kids. M rambled about how they should cut some money out of his payment, but that was going too far. Uncle stuck up for the taxi driver and tried to reason with her, but my grandparents ganged up on him, so he left, deciding petty arguments wasn't worth it today. I silently remained salty as fuck. Goddamn this M. BTW grandparents live with us. The cast, you already know I guess. So I was taking public transport, which is quite nice in my country, while reading my Kindle, which is a ebook reading device, since I like books. Then this kid, Ek, sees it and probably thinks it is a tablet cause he walks up to me and is like, "Can I have your tablet? I want a way fork knife." I then explain it is not a tablet and how it reads book. He then proceeds to say this, "Ek, Fortnite is a book." Excuse me, what the fuck? Okay, I can just make up an excuse that he won't understand. Me, oh, you see this tablet ahem has special fingerprint sensors that only I can use. Totally true. He starts throwing a tantrum in the bus, which made his mom come. After his mom came, and after I explained, his mom used the classic line, "Come on, you idiot teenagers, why don't you give it to him? He just wants to read a book. You idiots and your posh mobile devices. It has to be like 100 years since I last heard that word. No lol." I had to explain the concept of private property, which ironically made her lose the game she was playing on her XS Max. Guess the name of the game. Clue, the game name starts with a Fortnite and ends with re. Thinking that was the end. No, that would be too short. I got off on my stop, which coincidentally was also her stop. I went to tuition. When I came out of the tuition center 2 hours later, I saw Em and Ek with eggs in a plastic bag, which probably would have been thrown at me if they weren't walking away. The best part? Em tripped, dirtying her phone with eggs in the process. Seriously, you trailed me into a building and found where I went to before buying eggs to throw at me? How stupid can End be? So really quick, a little bit about myself, just to make things a little more clear. I'm a 19-year-old working at a Dairy Queen, 3 out of 7 days, and go to school full time, while living in Hawaii, a tourist attraction, and being antisocial/introverted. I tend to not deal with conflict well, so that being said, here we go. Ed, entitled Dad's Son. So this happened to me during winter time when all these tourists get away for the cold season. I was working the night shift on a Saturday night and the workflow was going great, no bad vibes, and no problems so far, until Ed and S came in through the front doors. I could already tell Ed, who looked around 50, didn't want to be at a Dairy Queen at 8 o'clock, and S looked 17 to 20, didn't seem to even care to be there. Anyways, Ed and S come up to the register and I politely asked what they would like, and Ed rolls his eyes and pointed to his son, who was looking at the menu, and asked for a blizzard. I asked if they would like anything else tonight and Ed gave me this look, like he was annoyed with me, and said no. So I told them their total was $5 something change, and Ed grabbed his wallet and grabbed some cash and throws the money on the counter, and S pointed out quietly how he put down a $20 by accident. Ed looks right at me and points his finger at me in an accusingly way and says, "You were going to pickpocket that, weren't you? You think it's okay to take people's money?" And I literally froze up. Like I said before, I don't do well with conflict, and he grabbed the $20 and continued to rudely say how it's such a low life thing to do to pickpocket people's money. I quietly grabbed his money that was left on the counter and I rung it up, and he gave me dirty looks while I quickly and quietly as I could give him his change and go into the back of the store and let my coworker make his blizzard. After they left, I was feeling better, and I told my coworker if I was brave enough or could deal with conflict. I would have said, just because I work at a low income job, just because I'm young, and just because you're an asshole doesn't mean I'm going to take your dirty money. Have a nice day, asshole. But sadly I didn't, and I wish I did. He had no right to be rude towards me or even assume I'd steal from him, even if Ed was having a bad day. I just discovered this sub, and it made me think about the 4 years I spent working at a daycare. Oh boy, do I have some stories. So there's this kid, call her Izzy. She is the sweetest, most adorable child ever. Loved the kid. Her mom was another story. So during the summer I did morning drop off, usually around 50 kids by myself. So I usually just got them all involved in an activity and then sat in the middle so I could supervise all of them. So Izzy's mom drops her off and lingers in the room for a couple minutes. Not unusual. I make small talk as I get her settled coloring in her book, then go back and sit down. The next day I got a text from my boss letting me know one of the moms had put in a complaint against me. I was obviously like, what the hell? Turns out the mom had called my boss, telling her that I had completely ignored her child, that I wasn't supervising, and basically that I didn't do my job. My boss knew me pretty well and kind of asked her how she would have liked me to handle it, considering there are a lot of children in the morning. The mom went off on her saying that her daughter was special and deserved one-on-one attention all the time. That I should have stayed with her despite all the other children because, and I quote, they didn't deserve attention as much as my daughter. She asked I be fired. My boss and I had a very good laugh over that the next day. I miss that place sometimes. Did you enjoy this video? Leave a like and subscribe to Brody for more.